California doctor accused of preying on patients, put him up for a mask. This is a hell of a story. Very sick and deranged story. William Thompson, an Orange County infectious disease doctor who specializes. Now, I want you to understand, he literally created a practice in order to victimize a particular category, particular demographic of people. How sick is that? He specializes in LGBTQ plus clients. He allegedly assaulted at least 9 patients in need of life-saving medical care under the guise of necessary medical exams. Dr. William Thompson IV, 56 years of age, was arrested at his Newport Beach practice last Wednesday. He faces 8 counts of sexual penetration by means of fraudulent representation of professional purpose, 3 counts of sexual battery by fraud, and 2 felony counts of forcible oral copulation. That's according to a press release issued by the DA's office on Tuesday. Quote, after learning medical procedures being performed on them by Thompson were not medically necessary, 6 of Thompson's patients disclosed that they had been sexually assaulted by Thompson, the Orange County DA office said in a statement. Among the bogus procedures were unnecessary anal exams and forcing a male patient to orally copulate him, the release said. 3 more victims will be discovered in the subsequent exhaustive investigation, Newport Police Chief Joe Cartwright said. One of his victims spoke about his experience, said, and I quote, "My heart dropped. My heart dropped." The patient, who would like to remain anonymous, said, quote, "It just makes me question everything about our interaction since 2017. The 33-year-old said he's visited the doctor every 3 to 6 months for the last 6 years. Quote, "I thought some of the things that he would do during the physical exam was part of the physical exam. And just thinking back to those times, I should have known better. I should have questioned something." Unfortunately for his victims, he is currently free on a $100,000 bond. All right, that's it, $100,000 bond. His license still has not been revoked by the medical board. He is set to be arraigned in early November. If convicted on all counts against him, Dr. Thompson would face up to 30 years of prison, 30 years to life in prison, plus another 25 years. The press release stated, the Medical Board of California said they are aware of allegations against Dr. Thompson and are looking into the matter. His medical license remains active with no restrictions at all, none. Many of Dr. Thompson's patients depended on him for life-saving care, and he exploited those vulnerabilities for his own sexual gratification, according to the DA. A doctor's office should be a place where patients can safely share their most personal vulnerabilities without having to fear they will be preyed upon by a sexual predator. Spitzer continued, "No one should be violated in such a shameful way by someone who has taken an oath to protect their patient." This story really boils my blood. Sad, it's sick. You got to think about the extreme nature of his entire con in order to satisfy his sick, extreme, man sexually violated folk. Some of them are dying. And this is what he wants to leave them. I can't understand a person who gets up every morning and does something like this. Now, for those who may want to, you say, well, maybe he was engaged in some kind of experimental treatment. Making somebody give you oral copulation is not a treatment at all. I don't understand why this medical board has not engaged in their emergency powers, which they do have in order to protect the public, make sure this man can never practice again. We'll bring you updates as they come. Jordan, thoughts?
Yeah, I feel terrible for the victims. Like you say, they were coming to him for specialized life-saving care, and he exploited that. He exploited their vulnerability. He exploited, the fact that there probably weren't many people in that area who offered similar services. It seems premeditated, and
yes, very.
It's just really gross. And he kind of, in the pictures, one thing I didn't see while prepping was just like him leaning into like a liberal, welcoming, inclusive aesthetic. Like the shirt he was wearing underneath his gown, he, him, daddy. Like, what are you doing here, man? Like, you're very clearly trying to project that you are a good person. You're trying to virtue signal, and then behind the scenes, you're awful. You're terrible. You're engaging in nefarious activity. Like that's really sad, and unfortunately, it's pretty common. People try to drape themselves in that type of iconography and that type of aesthetic to cover for their motives. It's terrible.
Yep, and set themselves up in positions of public trust.